We are ready and we're recording, and good June and happy first day of spring. Yay. I mean, summer, you know what I meant. I'm still in winter. Oh, wait a minute, with the weather we're having, it's more like spring, right? So for those of us who are inside this, our microphone is on, so everybody out there can hear you. And we'll all have an opportunity to just make some quick introductions. For those who are on, if you can just rename yourself so you can have your organization. So as we look at this, and I know we're going to make Virginia when we speak, but welcome. So the first and foremost, as everybody knows that we have these meetings, they are recorded. They are posted on our website for viewing. So that way we don't necessarily have to repeat ourselves. But I'm going to go right through. You've all received a copy of the agenda. And what I'd like to do is just to talk a little bit about membership. Membership is out there. If you have not, I really would encourage all of you to sign in, or it is available on our website. It was also sent out to you, and I will probably bug you until you do become a member. For those who are members, let's focus on that. Thank you. Those dollars, those membership dollars do continue to work for the benefit of not only this website that's been updated, but it's also for all the different things. We do not have any staff. We have a lot of activities that we do and going door to door, but it really does go into the activities, holiday parades, as well as for printing of some documents that we have. So please, I strongly encourage, if you could become a member. It is either $50 or $100, two choices. I do want to be able to give an update about the Business Improvement District. This will have a couple of items. So for those that do not know, it is an active, we are now in a signature. We are now into a signature element of this portion. So the Business Improvement District, again, there is a designated area identified by a steering committee in the downtown. And the Business Improvement District, there is 11 districts across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Taunton and Barnstable, Main Street, Hyannis is a Business Improvement District. I follow them all the time. I see what they're doing. I'm envious of what they're doing. But it's an assessment. It is basically a self-assessment on the parcel owners in this district. I will keep repeating it. We'll have information on our website as well. I believe we do, but you know, we have about 20 signatures of parcel owners right now. We are fast moving and getting more. There are approximately 300 or so, and we're trying to find out as much information as we possibly can. And we're getting signatures from the parcel owners. So like, for instance, Old Colony Planning Council, we own this portion of the building. Chamber of Commerce owns that. Old Colony Planning Council voted to have it signed. We have 2 parcels of this building. Chamber of Commerce, I believe they have 3 or 4 parcels. Harbor One has 4 parcels. So each one of those parcel has a petition assigned to it and the signatures. And we're moving forward, and it really is more positive. There's just lots of questions that people may have. So if you are a property owner, so it is for private business as well as for those that are nonprofit, government, they're all included. So we are continuing to do that. But part of another effort that Old Colony Planning Council is, we've been working with the city of Brockton, and with us today in this office building is Jay Song. Jay Song is an associate planner and GIS associate manager. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oops. And just as an aside, we're going to silence all of our phones while we are here. That's okay, because I'm sure mine is not silenced either. But Jay, maybe if you want to walk us through this survey, and I believe, Megan, you're going to put a link in the chat for folks. If you're a property owner, that we're looking to do a survey, it's an inventory. So Jay, would you like to just do a brief?
Yeah. Okay. So we've been working on creating an inventory for collecting information for all the business owners and parcel owners around the downtown district in Brockton. And we have recently created a survey for the parcel owners and the business owners to fill out. We have a flyer here. To take a look at this. This gives a quick introduction to the reason behind this, and ultimately we want to look at the trends in the business right now around Brockton, and we like to see the vacancy rate, what the lease rate would be for future tenants if the owner is looking for new tenants. And this is ultimately to help the city of Brockton to see which area we can improve in terms of helping owners to potentially find new tenants for new businesses. And so we have both the QR code and the links available to the survey. And depending on what your situation is, if you personally own the business, or if there's a vacant property in your parcel, in your building, then depending on what that status is, there's different sections in the survey that you can fill out. And we'd like to have this survey be completed as fast as possible, hopefully by the end of June, but it all depends on how much people will be able to respond to this survey. But it will ultimately both help the city and the individual business owners as well. So we really strongly recommend that you take a look at the survey. And if you are the tenant of the business, then it would be great if you can pass along this survey information to the owner of the building, so that because this is mostly information that would be that the owner of the building, the parcel would know mostly.
So Jay, Oak Colony Planning Council has been contracted by the city planning office, Rob May and John Bay and the city. One of the things that has always been a challenge since working at Oak Colony Planning Council, but also the Downtown Brockton Association, not only this inventory, right? We can pull the assessor's database, but the challenge is getting to know the property owners, and it's a full-time job. So John Fay and I did this when we were going out with the Business Improvement District, and recently it was Jay Song, and we have two interns who've been working with us, Nate and Alyssa. And literally we went knocking on doors. We stopped in to say hello to people. And I can't tell you, at least from the Downtown Brockton Association's perspective, it was really refreshing to get to know people on a one-to-one basis. One of the challenges that the DB has, we have no staff. We have, this is not it's a full-time job, but it's not a full-time job for me. It is something that, love for DBA, but we here at Old Colony Planning Council, we have 25 employees in this building alone. And I want to make sure that my employees, our employees, the council's employees, feel safe, feel that there's activities, engagement, and things to do, get to know some of our neighbors and not be afraid to walk into a place. So one of my recent walking was, we went right across the street behind, I'm pointing this way because that's where it is, Cardosa Cafe. And do you know that they serve lunch? Because I did not. I have their menu, right? See, Paul, I did not. And again, I've been in downtown area for a lots of years, too many years. But my point is that until COVID did do it kind of set us behind in contacting and being involved, but it is just, we have so much in here downtown that we just need to open up our eyes and open up our hearts and be part of the community. So one of the things though, that the challenge is, because when you go knocking door to door and you have 400 parcels, that's a lot of time to be dedicated. Yeah. So there is this survey that we, instead of going door to door initially, we will be going to everyone, but there is a survey that is being sent, and Megan, just correct me, is it in the chat? Yep, perfect, thank you. The Survey Monkey is in the chat, so please take a look at that if you are a property owner or if you are a tenant. And again, the specific is the downtown immediate area, and we can show you that area. So it's basically from like the spot on North Main Street. It does go to Warren Ave, does go to Boys and Girls Club. I know Derek Heim is on. It does go southerly down past the library. It goes to the Cliff School. So that's kind of the boundaries and in between. So anyway, so some of you may who be on here may be saying, all right, what am I doing? And I know Signature Healthcare is here and that's on the other side. But I think the whole city needs to know what is going, not just in downtown, but Campello and Montello. And so with the survey, I just want to say thank you to Jay and to the team, Melissa, and to Nate, along with working with our team here at Old Colony Planning Council. It's a great survey. Please encourage everyone to take it. It will help us and help us as a downtown to not only know who our neighbors are, but to, again, if people are looking for space. So Phil Cohen from Ideal Jewelry was one of our first stops. Thank you, John. It really is a lot of work and but it's well worthwhile. And I know Campello and Montello want to do the same thing, but Phil Cohen was the first person we stopped in. He welcomed us up into sitting, help give an education, but it's also an education to know what it takes to run a business, whether it's nonprofit or for profit. So one of the outcomes of that is that Phil Cohen has an empty space and he was going to kind of keep it latent, but he's like, can you guys help me understand where I can get this space promoted, right? Because we don't want vacant spaces downtown.
No.
And so we're going to develop kind of an opportunity for people to share what they have for space and help guide. I don't mean OCPC. Let me take that hat off. Let me put the hat on as the DBA, but to help promote our neighbors and filling vacant spaces that are not just on Main Street, but throughout the whole quarter and throughout the district. So Jay, thank you and the team. And you can certainly stay and listen to some of the other conversations if you have time.
Jay, can I ask?
Please go right ahead.
Yeah.
This may be beyond the scope of what you're trying to do with the survey, and if you just say so, I'll back off. Will the survey, in addition to help us understand what space is here and what's occupying the space, is there any way to infer from that survey what the needs might be?
The needs might be, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
perfect.
so we do also ask in the survey what the owner would potentially want, what kind of business they would potentially want in the vacant area. So for example, like Phil Cohen that we just mentioned, that he would personally would not want to see any restaurants in there, but more like office spaces
Okay, yeah.
specifically. And so we can give that we could put that as a side note of what he would potentially want to see in there.
Like, I'm thinking specifically, like, I know there's the Y and then there's the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
But I can't think, and they may already be there, I just don't know it. But like, are there any childcare centers, right, in the downtown corridor? They may very well be. I don't know, but I think about, there's a courthouse that employs a lot of people, some of them parents and all of that. So understanding those things would be great.
So it's a good point, right? Because John Fay will be nodding his head in a minute with me, right? Because we could have surveys for about everything. And so ideally, and if you're a business person, you don't want to answer 10 surveys, you want to answer one survey. So don't share that link quite yet, everybody. We may come back with another one. I mean, you raise a good point, and that's why we're bringing this to this table, is that, if you are taking the survey, how do I get my sidewalk plowed, or my need is that I have a broken meter in front of whatever it may be, we may want to capture, and it may be anecdotal, but to your point, and let me just introduce yourself again.
Oh, I'm Phoebe Soers with Luminosity Behavioral Health.
Thank you very much. And Philly, thank you. My mouth isn't working well today, has attended some of our business improvement district meetings. And so it's a really good point that maybe we can work on that. Ann?
Now, I just have one suggestion with this available one, for example, with Phil Cohen, I know him. Okay, why doesn't he do a quote open house?
He could.
Okay,
So-
just throwing that out there.
So we're going to work with, again, Old Colony Planning Council is just doing they've been charged by the city and contracted by the city to do an inventory alone. But I think to the point, if there's a question or two that could be asked about, do you have any needs relating to your business or your property? We can ask that. I think those are two simple questions. How we get to the next step, and as you know, the DBA doesn't have a staff. And so we would be working with either the city council, the mayor's office, the John Fay from planning office to then work on ways how to promote the Chamber of Commerce, right? We'll be looking for ways to do that and we'll be open for anything along the way. So nope, it's a good suggestion. Any questions, John Fay?
Mary, if I could, that actually dovetails pretty nicely. We are, as the city is, working right now to try to build up our economic base, in particular industries that we already have strengths in. And as a part of that initiative, we are looking to create and maintain some sort of database with vacant and or underutilized properties that places would like to, relocate to. So this will
Great.
dovetail quite nicely in.
Thank you, John. That's helpful to know. Again, right? There's lots of things going on, and with this table and this forum is exactly for people to have feedback and to, again, bottom line is, if you're sitting as either a property owner, if I get one more survey from another organization, I'm, like, who's talking to whom? And I think that part is, again, we as a DBA, as a convener, bringing people together so we can have those conversations. So don't share that link quite yet. We may add 2 questions to it. It's a longish kind of survey anyway, but the bottom line is, it's really is to know who the owners are, that we have a good email and contact information, and then to see if they're willing, and also to get a vacancy rate in the downtown, which we really don't have, but we're also getting an assessment as to what is the per square foot. That's what realtors and that's what people are looking for. What's available? What's the square footage? What's your vacancy rate? And what's the cost per square foot? And then the amenities come in after that. So thank you. Any other questions about the survey? Just raise your hand and or unmute yourself. Awesome. Oh, go ahead.
Just one thing,
have-
Mary. I was
Okay.
just wondering if I did notice that on the survey, there is, for asking what type of business, there is a little thing that says art. And I was glad to see that. But what I'm curious about is, are there people who have empty spaces that they would be willing to rent to artists, visual artists, not noisy artists, but visual artists? Because Brockton is really, downtown Brockton has nothing, there's no space that rents to visual artists, to my knowledge. And that's something that I think that is an important thing, and especially if you're trying to use or have the arts be some kind of economic engine, which it can be. But it has to be a place that's friendly to renting to artists. And that means people don't have to renovate their spaces, because artists don't want fancy renovated office space. They want raw space with good light.
That's right.
No carpet
So-
on the floors.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin that one. So when we come back to you to talk about the arts in downtown for your presentation, let's come back to that, because
Sure.
one of the things that we need, but we're just getting that database to know what they have available. What's the zoning? Right? When Trinity and developed the residential, they were looking to model that after Lowell, which had artists living above their workspace, and that would be open. It didn't really quite come to that. Part of it is getting the demand and seeing where the demand is. So let's circle back to that. And I know, but again, the question was rent to artists. And I think that when we get into that database, we will work with those who have those empty spaces to see what sort of, and working with them, and, even having a conversation with Brockton Cultural Arts. Somebody else was asking a question?
Just Cindy, so if we already signed the bid paperwork, you still want the survey done?
Yes, please. So the
Okay.
so the bid paperwork is separate from this inventory. The
Okay,
bid
gotcha.
paperwork is really about the action of agreeing to be assessed.
Okay.
And I can get back to that. This survey
That's okay.
is an inventory. I know it's,
If I just need the answers from the bid, the paper.
yes, you're good. Okay.
fine.
Thanks, Cindy.
I'll get a copy. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else with a question about the survey. So number one, you're not going to share it yet, but we will share it when we send out the follow-up email. So then you can in fact share it with your stakeholders. Thank you. Brockton Police Department, I know that I did see Officer Solomon.
I am here.
There we go. Hey, Derek, thanks for
Hi, how are
joining
you?
us. Good,
Sure.
thank you. So one of these wonders of the world is, while I was at the cultural fest that Brockton Beer put on, I had a chance to meet Derek, and then next thing you know, I standing next to this wonderful policewoman who is Derek's wife, and I didn't know that, and all of a sudden it was just great to see. So Derek, why don't you, if you could provide an update, would be great.
Sure. As you know, it's getting warmer, not so much sunnier, but warmer out there. So summertime, we end up starting the walking beats up, and I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting or not, so if I repeat myself, I apologize. The walking beats are out there again. They're going out 3 or 4 times a week, Campello, downtown, as well as the Montello business districts. The chief has approved a bike beat as well to go along with the walking beat, so that officers out on the bicycles will be out there doing the same thing, the three districts. So you might see them out there a little bit more than you have. And again, with the summer brings the ATVs, the dirt bikes, the mopeds, whatever you want to call them. There's going to be, from what I understand, they're working on getting some shifts out there Thursdays through Sundays at the peak times in the various parts of the city to try to crack down on the ATVs and the dirt bikes, which has always been an issue, especially probably the last 3 or 4 summers. So you might be seeing some extra officers out there as well. Again, that's on a sign up overtime type of thing. It will be to go along with the shifts, so we're not actually pulling people off the shifts and calls. We're actually adding people to the road as well. So there'll be a couple extra officers out there. As far as the Bear Fest, I wasn't there. I heard it was a success. I know the weather was not the best, but maybe we can obviously do that again. And that's basically my update. If you guys have any questions, anything going on in the businesses that you have some worries about, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Derek, I just only have one this comes from 4 businesses who are on Legion Parkway, and
Okay.
I will follow up with an email to you and to the chief and maybe Captain Caro, is that the shutting down completely of Legion Parkway has caused, without notification to the businesses, has been a bit of a concern for them. They had again, I won't not name the names, but my
Sure.
understanding is that what would have been told to me in some of my inquiries is that when there are not enough detailed officers, that the road gets shut down. And people contact the DBA for lots of reasons, and within the last 2 months, it's been, hey, what's going on in downtown? And I know there's been a lot, right, with the old school that's being torn down and the rewiring and repiping and electricity and all of that. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if that's something at least you can take back to the chief, and then maybe perhaps give us, I'll follow up with an email.
Mary, are they shutting down Warren Ave, or are they shutting down actually Legion Parkway?
They're shutting down Legion Parkway. And so
Obviously,
I know
westbound, I'm guessing.
it is, actually, it's eastbound. So from Warren Ave heading down toward Main Street.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
Yeah,
just so it's clear, full transparency, it is on my way to work, but I know my way around all of that. But again, there's some major businesses, and I'll just leave it at that had no, this is maybe 2 weeks ago, had no notification, and then today, so.
Yeah.
All right, I will relay that to Captain Picaro. I don't know if that's more of a it's not, you know what type of work it is? Is it is it a city DPW?
I think it's electrical, Derek, but.
Yeah, I'll talk to Captain Picaro. Maybe he has a contact there, so we know when they're going to be working and potential road closure, so we can get it out there.
And I know that, and I'm gonna let Billy speak in a minute, but I know, from the DBA, I don't have any, but sorry, mayor's office, but I've been sending them to the mayor's office. But because again, if there's a business that didn't have notification, I don't have any overview, but I'll put that in an email. Billy?
Sure.
I can't tell you how many times in the last 2 months I have not been able to get into my parking lot at work where I'm on the corner of Main Street and West Ave, and just can't go down that street. I've had to go up a one-way street and, said to the police officer, you ticket and I can't get in my parking lot. You tell me how to get there then. It's a nightmare because you never know when it's gonna happen. Sometimes it's once or twice a week, sometimes it's the entire week.
Thanks,
A
Bill.
lot of work that's done, especially if it's not like city work, if it's Verizon, gas company, whatever. We don't know till that day until they ask for details of what they're gonna do. And it is frustrating. I've had the same issues going downtown. I've had to, bypass certain areas just to get around. And I think it's only gonna get worse when they start ripping up Warren Ave for the new public safety complex. And it's gonna be a little bit. I mean, I'm hoping we know when they're gonna be
Right.
out in the road and we have detours and stuff where that's a city type job. But I can talk, like I said, I can talk to Captain McCarroll. Maybe we can try to get something a little bit more.
Thanks, Derek. And I know that
transparent on
I appreciate that. I think that there's a whole host of others and, when we had people coming to our downtown, for a meeting, I tell them, like, just plan an extra half hour to maneuver your way around. And again, progress, right? Things of that nature. And I know a lot of the electrical work because of, right, there were manhole covers and there's all that replacement of the old wires of 100 years old. I just think that if people just know when either their businesses have to, are affected or their parking lots affected, it's just some notification. And Mayor's office and Councilor Thompson, maybe we can address that together with you in terms of notification.
Sure.
Yeah, certainly. And obviously, I think like Derek says, it kind of goes between who's doing the work. I just looked quickly on the DPW page, and it says that Eversource is doing the Legion Parkway work. So again, that's something that I think we'd be willing to work with. It's just a matter of communication, which, I don't think is an issue. With us issuing, having more communication, I think that's what we're about. So.
Thanks, Jay. Jay, if there is a page that DPW posts, that would be helpful to maybe put that in the link because I would share that.
Yeah, let me get the link for you right now. It's right on their page. I'll pull it up 1 second.
Perfect.
And I'll put it in the chat.
That would be great. And I just a side note, I just know that the Brockton Police Department and they're working with a local law firm and receiving some helmets for young folks to be safe on their bikes with helmets and giving some. So follow, if we haven't, the Brockton Police Department's Facebook page is pretty awesome in terms of updating and all the information. So any questions that for the police department before Derek? And since Deputy Chief Williams is on, did you want to speak for the fire department on anything that you might have going on?
Can you hear me?
I can, clearly.
Okay, so we just got through a ceremony at Station 1. We put our rescue into service, so we have 10 fire trucks in the city now, which is a great thing for the city. We're at the highest manpower we've ever had to be or ever have been. And especially since at least 1989 or 91 when we had the layoffs. That's great for the downtown. And the second thing is, I don't think I stepped off for a second, but the fireworks task force is out there working on the weekends, trying to make sure we don't have a lot of fireworks calls. If anybody hears fireworks going off, they can call the police department number 508-941-0200. And it's one thing to say, I hear fireworks going off in the Crescent Street area, but if you can try to narrow it into exactly where they're happening, we can make an impact. And because once we get the call and get out there, they're all over and we don't know where to look. The other thing is, if you hear any stories of anybody selling fireworks or bringing fireworks into the city, there's a hotline number. You can give us a call and we'll look into it to make sure that we try to get them off the streets before they go up in the air. And I think that's about it for today.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. If you can pop those hotline numbers into the chat, that would be helpful. The other thought I want to be able to say is that there is a see-click fix, and it's not just for residents, it's for businesses. You see something, you can call and get something addressed. And they really are responsive, whether it's the police, the fire, or the DPW, the mayor's office. They're all involved in this. So So anyway, thank you, Deputy Chief, and thank you, Police Department, Derek, for giving us the update. I'm gonna go quickly to the luminosity presentation. This is, we've got about just like 5 minutes just to keep us on time, but
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm Phoebe Soers I'm with Luminosity Behavioral Health Services. It is basically a mental health and substance abuse mental health center that focus on the minority population. So our biggest goal is to work around reducing disparity in access to behavioral health. So folks tend to cross sort of class, gender, cycle determinants of health, race. We tend to have mental health disorders at the same rate, but we access service for those disorders at very, very different rates. So that's our goal, to help people to access those services at the same rate. We provide services in multiple languages, Spanish, Portuguese, Cape Verdean, Haitian Creole, Russian, and a number of other language. One of the biggest needs in terms of language that we're seeing is that there's an ever increasing Mayan community coming to the Brockton area.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes we think about them as Spanish speakers, which they are not. So some, those who have higher education are Spanish speaking, but for many of them, they are non-Spanish speaker. And it is a challenge serving those individuals. We have one person who's very proficient, one clinician in that language, whereas we have a number of Spanish speakers. So that's a challenge for us to meet. We see kids from infancy, or I think our senior most client right now is in her late 80s. So a variety of people. We provide your usual mental health service, whether it's individual, couples therapy, family therapy. We also provide substance abuse counseling for a number of people. We have an agreement with the court system, for example. We do these driving under the influence program, both first offenders and folks with subsequent offenses, and work with a lot of parolees and so on from the Department of Correction. The bulk of our work are with children and family, particularly coming through either the school department or local clinics and hospitals. We have a bunch of psychiatrists, child psychiatry, Spanish-speaking psychiatry, adult psychiatry, and addiction psychiatry. So those are services that we provide to our population. We also do a fair bit of social services, providing what we call social support programs, helping people to access housing, employment, food security, and a variety of other things. In addition, we have a youth mentoring program. And our latest program is, we have actually a relationship with the Brockton Police Department, in which we provide a youth-related prevention program targeted at helping youth who are at risk for negative involvement, like gang involvement, gun possession, those kinds of things. And that program is a program that is been recognized by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, so federal administration, as an evidence-based practice. Was developed at Penn State. We've been doing it since 2019, but since 2022, we became involved with the police department and actually get a small grant for them to help support that program. And that's the only program right now at our agency in which you can refer kids into, because everything else, unfortunately, the waiting list is incredibly long. If I can take 30 more seconds and just tell you that we have, Luminosity has been working with all of the other behavioral health services of Cal in the Southeast region. There's about, I think, 11 of us right now. We're creating a Southeast multicultural organizations to help all the providers, particularly around this issue of long waiting lists that none of us can seem to get a hold of, but also given the level of trauma in the city of Grafton, we've been working with the school department. They are represented in this group that I'm talking about. So we're going to be developing a community-based trauma training that would particularly work with the schools, but also with the community at large, just helping people to become more familiar with that topic and also training these 11 organizations in very trauma-specific interventions. And that's that.
Can everybody just say wow
Yeah.
with me, please? Because, so, I'm just have a couple questions. So, Luminosity, for those who don't know, it's the mirrored building, the old Brockton Neighborhood Health Center building, corner of West Elm in Maine. You have how many employees?
There's about roughly 100.
100. Can we underscore that? See, look at John Fay's like, what? 100 employees. The work that you do, there's a number of folks who are on this call today, whether it's, certainly the Council on Aging, but also Mass Hire, Black Owned Brockton, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA. You mentioned in terms of, Brockton Public Schools and Brockton Police Departments are on here. The mayor's office and the city council's like, just to know the services and, Neighbor Works is another, just working with, there just isn't enough services. And I'm looking at Paul across the way from me that I know that a number of folks go to the library as a place, as a community center for people to go and to interact. So I'm going to ask Megan to drop the contact information. Should I give whose contact, Claire's or?
Do you have a little?
Or we could just, which is the, or we could just put the website in the link for folks to, it's Luminosity, you can just Google it, it's just the work that they do. God's work, and the mentoring programs around the city, there can never be enough. So, right, I will, I'm gonna do this, let's see.
Thank you.
Here we go, I will get it, we'll get it. Actually, can you give this to Megan?
Yes.
I think she may have it already, but she will pop that into the chat. How about questions before, I mean, it's a lot. Let me, just a couple of things from my perspective is that Luminosity was one of the first people to come, not this year only, but the year before in terms of sponsoring the holiday parade, becoming a member of when we started memberships. We've had some great conversations just about when I was talking about the business improvement district, and having some good hard conversations about how we as an organization are reaching out to the community on their terms and not just going to our regular old ways of communicating. And I appreciated that conversation that I had and welcome more conversations to be had. So let me be quiet here for a second. Questions that anybody might have? They're not going anywhere. They've been always part of us. It's just that we're giving some highlights. We'll be highlighting different businesses and along the way. So Megan will put the contact in for Claire. Claire is a very busy person as well. Be patient and be kind to her, but she will get back. John Fay, you've unmuted yourself.
Yes, I did have a quick question. I put in the chat, and I know Phoebe, thank you for everything that you're doing over there at Luminosity. I was just curious. I do know as a separate issue, other than being able to provide as many services to as many people who need them, that there is, especially in communities of color, a bit of a stigmatization problem in receiving mental health care services. I was just curious if you and your company have any programs trying to help combat that. And if it's as prevalent in our immigrant populations as it is in our more homegrown population.
It's even more prevalent in the immigrant population because of the ways that culturally you make sense of mental health issues. As an immigrant myself, growing up in West Africa, what I heard about, if you hear a voice and it's inside your head, you don't answer it and you don't tell anybody about it because it's the devil trying to get to you. So if you have schizophrenia and you're hearing voices and you can't talk about it, how do you get assistance for it? But many cultures have many ways of culturally adapting and understanding what these issues mean. So, you know, it's a huge issue, and it's one of the reasons why access to mental health services is so complicated, and why we focus particularly in addressing disparity, helping people at the family level to understand that, you know, if you have diabetes, you would go to the doctor, you would take the medication he gave you. So if you have schizophrenia or, you know, another, yeah, if you're delusional, you'd go to the doctor, they would give you medication, and that medication will help to quieten those voices and give you your voice back. So talking to people about that, and it's in particular talking about, here's what mental health is. It happens to this many people in any given population, and this is what it is. It's no different than the rate of cancer that happens in a particular population. It is incredibly difficult, and that's why the 11 groups that I was talking about have come together, because we need more than one clinic at a time addressing these issues, but we need to come up with this systematic approach that hopefully we can talk to other groups that's providing the same services in the city about how to address.
John, great question, and Phoebe, thank you.
Thank you.
I think,
Thank you, Phoebe.
Jay DeGrace, is Jasmine on this call, or did she have to leave?
Yeah, I'm actually sitting in for her. She
Okay.
had to go down to Plymouth for an issue. So if
no.
you have any questions, I can absolutely take them.
No, that's
and
okay. It
Let her
wasn't
know.
really just a question. I think I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know whether you connected with Jasmine Brashear from the mayor's office. She just,
I do know that.
okay. So that was really kind of the most important piece, is again, sometimes we're just connecting people here at these meetings and making sure that, and then we come back. We'd love to hear about some successes, and perhaps, you know, just even, you know, how else we as a DBA. So, yeah, thank you. It really is important work. So they're not going anywhere. We'll have some follow-up calls, but next, because we have a 50 minutes to go to jump everything in. But next is Ginny Mahoney, and Ginny, from the last meeting, there was a whole discussion about the role of the arts in downtown. And I'm actually going to ask Megan, before you just jump in, because I posted it on social media for the DBA Facebook page. There was a whole great thing about what Newport is doing with those umbrellas. Yeah, and Tony, I will get you something on the Provo update in a minute, but let's see if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, Megan, no worries. Let's just, oh, there it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So if you
I
haven't
just need
seen
to
this,
change my sound settings. 1 second.
did I ever tell you that Megan's like a miracle worker? Because I was like, hey, Megan, what? if you do
On the
that?" She's
fly.
like, she does. It's just, right. The part about this is that we need to dream. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet here for a second. There we go.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so good. Yeah, I've seen that.
So see what they're doing here, and this will be a nice lead in for Ginny. I'd be less worried about the, I think it's the optics I was looking for, and we certainly can get some information from Deputy Chief Williams to know about what we can do with this so it's not a fire hazard or anything, but if Newport can do it, then I think we can do it. But the idea
There are
is,
ways.
there are ways.
Yeah.
Well, it's being respectful for the laws that are before us. We're not looking to circumvent, but anyway, Ginny, thank you, Megan. I think they get the sense of it. It is on the Facebook page, and I'll have Megan just put the link into the chat as well. So without further ado, Ginny Mahoney with the Brockton Cultural Council. So Ginny. So
thank you, Mary. So this little thing that I guess Megan is flashing up on the screen. This is a just a QR code that if you follow it, it'll take you to the Brockton Cultural Council's website, which I posted earlier in the chat. And you can just Google Brockton Cultural Council and find out. And we're the local funding arm of the Massachusetts Cultural Council, which is a state agency.
You don't think about
And-
every step you take until you're in pain.
And we,
When you get an ankle replaced,
I'm
walk to
hearing
Rhode
some
Island.
Stand by.
audio.
Yeah,
don't know what
I hear
that
it
is.
too.
And we fund, we distribute funds from the state for local arts, culture, and science projects. And we do that every year. Last year, we distributed over 132,000. Well, we funded, I don't know if it's all been distributed yet, but we funded over $132,000 worth of projects. And if you scroll to the very bottom of our website, you can find out exactly what was funded this year, this fiscal year. We accept applications starting in September, and the deadline is the middle of October. And I say that I can't give you a specific date because if it falls on a weekend, it's another date, but it's around the 15th.
Jeannie,
So,
just again, when do you start accepting applications?
September 1st.
Okay.
Or again, whatever is closest to a weekday that's in the beginning of September. And that's when the Mass Cultural Council actually opens up the funding website. And it's all, you can find out that information on our website. It's posted before September 1st, the definite date. So we do just all kinds of different projects. One thing I want to just mention is that, making the arts available, and not just the arts, but all of these things, but making these things available to people can also be a factor in improving mental health in a community. So I just wanted to kind of segue from what Phoebe was talking about, because it's a really important, the arts are not just frills, they are very important lifeblood of communities. They are economic engines. And so in light of that, there's also another thing going on, and I don't know if John wants to talk about this too, but we've convened a committee steering committee to develop a public art policy and plan, and this is from Rob May, and also working with a company called Designing Local to help us to design this, and it's so that we can figure out what citizens want for public art, and then try to maybe execute something, and also create an inventory of what we already have. I mean, we have these, priceless paintings in City Hall, and even the library. They're just works of art that I don't think the city knows it has. And so, there's a lot that goes on there in terms of what's going to happen. We've only met once, so I don't know if you have other things to say about that, John, but.
Who's on the committee?
I'd have to look at my email to tell you.
Unfortunately, I have not yet been on that task force, although we are, I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but we have received a grant from NEFA and MAPC for a temporary arts program. It's in the works. It's in very nascent stages right now, but about the end of the year, we will be releasing a call for artists on that.
Yeah.
Well, I would probably say, I know, Paul, you're on the committee.
I am. Don't ask me who's on the
Okay,
committee.
that's okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are like 12 people on the email, and I'm sorry, I don't have the list. I should have, had that with me, but we're in the process of developing a list of people who we can ask what they're interested in for public art. And if anyone is interested in being one of those people that we ask, or knows someone who would be interested, if you can just email me, I'll put my email in the chat, because then I can get that information to the committee.
So one of the things that I would like to do, and I think Jenny, there's the information that you shared, what's in information that's being shown now. Take a look at those grants that have been provided to folks.
Yeah.
One of the things that we as a DBA have made a stance about is that when we utilize funds, we definitely want to use Brockton entertainers. And I
Right.
think what I found through a number of recent activities is that we need to cultivate a list of the artists. And I don't mean just the I mean, artists across all venues, if you will, visual as well as other, because I don't think that people know where to go. We have Black-owned Brockton's on here, and then I know Shalia's been cultivating that list, and we need to utilize that organization to be as diverse as we possibly can. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't be using people from outside, but we as a city of 107,000, 6,000, and a high school and certainly the various schools, there's a lot of talent that is coming out of this city. And I do think so as a DBA, a couple of things that what we're looking to do is number one, to support arts in the community. And then we're going to be forming a subcommittee of the DBA to work on what kind of arts that the Downtown Brockton Association would like to see and where, and identifying locations. So if there's anybody, and this is not taken away from the group, the steering committee that is going on more globally, because that's citywide. But I think in the downtown, getting business owners and residents to be really engaged into looking at what they'd like to see.
That's going to be part of the point of that committee. But there's also, and thank you for putting this QR code up. This is a short survey from the Brockton Cultural Council that is for the community to tell us what kinds of things they would want funded, including public art. It's not just about public art. But the other thing that I should say is that the organizations that apply for funding, it's all Brockton, it's all to benefit Brockton citizens.
Yes.
There's nothing that, but the reason we may not have funded, the person doing the activity or conducting the art project or the performance, the reason they might not be from Brockton is that the organization that applied for funding for this particular group to do whatever it is. And the other thing is that, again, it's not always just the artists themselves that apply for funding. It's often organizations that are presenting projects and performances and things like that who contract with these outside performers. And so we are not obligated to just employ or just fund Brockton performers and artists. We are obligated to fund, and on our website we say that we fund projects that benefit the citizens of Brockton. That's one of our basic funding premises. So we could add that as a stipulation that we're looking for, in one of our, because we do revamp our guidelines a little bit every year, so we could tweak that. I'd have to talk to the council and have it voted on, but that we want to give preference to projects that employ local artists and scientists and humanists. And so, most of the stuff is.
Right. And again, my purpose of raising that is that I know even when we get to the holiday parade, and I know we're really running short on some time, that we're going to be doing that call for local artists that are from Brockton as a right of first refusal. So that's we as a DBA, as a separate organization. We're not a public entity, we're a nonprofit organization, but we definitely want to, I think there's been some, from some of my conversations that I've had previous, is like, where are we going to cultivate and how are we hearing where these artists are? And some of them are not on Facebook, or they don't have access to council meetings or things of that nature. And we want to make sure that, however, and this is for me as a DBA, that we're supporting local artists. So
for sure, I think that's wonderful.
So, I think
I just have a-
Jenny, please go
sorry.
ahead. No.
This is Jackie Rose from the Buzz Around, and Ginny, I just have a question about this survey. What's your time frame on it? Is it going to be up for a couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah, it's been open for like a couple, 2 or 3 months now, and we would like to
Okay.
keep it open till right before, right before September. So,
Okay.
because that's what, but if anyone has the capacity to distribute this, please do
Of
so.
course.
It's posted at the library. That's about it. So,
So we'll put this up on our DBA website and I
And
know
we'll
the
get
mayor's
it out in the
office is
Buzz
on-
Around, so.
And
Great.
and the mayor's office is on this, and maybe this is something, Jay, that the mayor's office could share as well, and anyone on this.
it's actually on the
call.
city website.
Great.
The webmaster actually put a link, but it's in under news, and it's kind of gone, it's fallen down, and so it'd be great if it were right up at the top.
Yeah, I'll make mention of that to our
Thank you.
communications director.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. So, Ginny, since you are also became a member of the DBA, we do believe that the arts and the Brockton Cultural Council, but again, really think it's important. I know that there's been in talking about the business improvement district, because the focus had been on clean and safe downtown, but it is an economic development engine, and the DBA wholeheartedly supports the arts. You should take
All you got to
this-
do is look at New Bedford.
Right, I look at it all the time, believe me, my heart
Yeah.
kind of goes, but anyway, but with that said, my almost suggestion would be you should take this show on the road to the Montello and Campello business as well, and I'll make an introduction to both of those organizations. It's really gonna be important.
Okay. Thank you for
So-
that suggestion.
Jenny, this won't be the end. We'll, maybe at each of our meetings, we can get an update about where things are with the arts and downtown would be great. So thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you very much.
So I know we're running out of time, but Counselor Thompson, yeah, I know. I was like looking for him as just seeing if he was still on. Jeff, are you still on?
I am, Mary, yes.
Perfect. Thank you. My
Hello,
apologies.
everyone.
There's a lot of information we had going on today, but if you could share an update with us.
Sure, yeah, great. And again, thank you, Mary, and hello, everyone. It's great to be with you again. So just quickly, last week was the city's budget week. So the city council passed a budget of about $554 million. And so we were able to get that done. Part of that budget, we fully funded the $10,000 to the Brockton Holiday Parade. And I also spoke with the mayor that he'd, if necessary, he'd be willing to tap into the city's, the mayor's office marketing and advertising budget if needed. I heard earlier comments regarding the Brockton Beer Fest that happened downtown, the Cultural on Tap Fest. I did attend that. It was a great time. It was wet. It was a little chilly, but it was a good turnout. We had a lot of fun. A lot of good beer from different breweries throughout the Commonwealth. And, the Brockton Beer Company put on a great event. So I'm hoping that we have many more of those events in the future. That's about it.
You have a
brief-
cleanup.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that. I am a member of the Brockton's Beautification Committee. We have a cleanup event this Saturday, June 24th at 8:30 a.m. over at the East Middle School. We'll be meeting in the parking lot that morning. So if anybody has some time this weekend to help out, it'd be much appreciated.
How about questions for the counselor? Jeff, first of all, to you and to the council and to the mayor, that $10,000 is a lifesaver for us. It really is, because we have to, it's the parade itself with everything, it's probably closer to a $40,000 event as opposed to just a 10, but we do a lot of our fundraising and activities in-house, or we reach out for that, but thank you. That's an important piece, and just want to say thank you to all. Is there any questions of the counselors? Counselor, you heard me talk a little bit about the issues, not the issues, well, the discussion about the roads. and the closures and things of that nature. So I will keep you
Yeah.
on in a communication as I address that with the chief.
I did hear that discussion, and just quickly, that makes me a reminder of Petronelli Way and the work that's going on in Petronelli Way. So it looks like it was just recently milled. The sidewalks have been re-poured on the let's say the left side coming down from Main Street. So we have new sidewalks poured. The street has been milled with the expectation of it being repaved shortly. Secondly, Marvelous Marvin Hagler Drive has been put in. The final road top has not yet been done, but sidewalks on both sides of the street have been installed. So that project is almost complete. And so that'll be another, another step towards the development of our downtown.
Great. Thank you, Counselor. I think these updates are really helpful. I know that there's going to be a groundbreaking for the new police station coming up soon.
Public safety complex. That's going to happen over at the complex site. And I believe that is scheduled for
July 12th.
July
Thank
12th,
you.
right? 5 o'clock. I believe.
July 12, 5 o'clock over at the site. That's going to be that's going to be a great time. And I believe the building is going to come down around that time. So a lot of stuff happening downtown.
Again, July 12th at what time again?
5 p.m.
Thank you, 5 p.m. Thank you. I know that I'm just if there are, again, just wanted to say thank you to you, Counselor, as well as the other counselors and to the mayor for the support of the DBA. Next is the holiday parade committee planning. So I had a small group of the core group of us who've just kind of been milling through and on the off season, if you will. We'll be sending out some invites. We are looking, thank you, Megan, for pulling up there. This is on our social media, but we're looking for volunteers, always looking for volunteers. There's never enough volunteers that can help this event come off. It is on November 25th, so we're asking people to save the date. And I know it's been shared lots of times throughout a communication to the mayor, the school committee, the city council, the superintendent. This year, with the funds that the DBA has, we are reaching out to each of the schools, public schools at this point, and then we'll look at the other schools within the city to provide funding for them, or the students, or for the PAC, or for the school to put together a float for them to participate. Some of it has been cost prohibitive, and as you know, there's been some deficits on the school side, and there's been some deep cuts in terms of faculty as well as some programs. The DBA is sensitive to that, and we wanted to make sure that we're doing $250 per school. There are 26 schools with the high school included. So it's a large sum, but we do feel, again, focusing on our Brockton, we're the Downtown Brockton Association, not the Metro South Chamber, right? We're just focused on Brockton, and we want to make sure that our Brockton schools are able and to give them reasons to participate. So please, if you know, we'll share this flyer with everyone. And the last year holiday parade celebration brought in over 4,000. Half of those people went over to the library, as I'm looking across to Paul, to make teddy bears and do lots of different great things. It is family, it is community-based. There is no profit that's made on this. It's an activity that is as free as it can be, right? The library didn't charge for anything, can't, right? But again, it's an important piece of an activity. So Michelle, you have a question?
No, I actually just wanted to mention something because you had mentioned a groundbreaking. We have our groundbreaking ceremony for the new Council on Aging building project. It's actually tomorrow, June 22nd at 11:30. So we'll be breaking ground on our. Oh, we will be breaking ground tomorrow for our new building project. So I just wanted to let everybody know.
June 22nd
at
11.
At 11:30. So tomorrow at 11:30 at the
Okay.
10 Father Kenny Way location.
Okie dokie. Thank you. So we were on the holiday parade. We weren't quite going into that, but I want to finish up on the holiday parade. I am looking for volunteers, and I mean that it's as if that without volunteers, this parade does not, the celebration does not come off. And with last year, I mean, there's been a couple of those volunteers that were worked hard and probably not going to see them back. It just is. It just it's getting harder, and there is going to probably be a, you know, coming to discussion about if in fact we don't get volunteers, what is the fate of a holiday parade. So I mean, it could mean that we have to hire someone to run the parade, but again, I think that would be kind of against our sort of our mission.
Mary,
So,
Mary,
yes.
have you inquired with like the National Honor Society at the high school or at Spelman or any place like that? Because they have
We-
service projects.
Have gone everywhere. Last year, we
Okay.
went everywhere.
Okay.
And but
And then
I will-
the kids have confirmation service projects too at churches too. So just,
So we have a subcommittee. There's 6 of us on the whole committee right now. So we have subcommittees. So if anybody's would like to help us reach out to those organizations, we would. And there is a form that we have, and so I do want to say there is Mass Hire had a group of young folks from the WAVE program that were very helpful. Shalia Gilmer was on it. I think she may have to leave. I don't see her on. But anyway, we are looking for volunteers, and so all suggestions are welcome. You can send me a quick email. That would be helpful. Before we get into the additional happening events, because there are a bunch of things in here, and I know Jackie Rose is gonna want a copy of all of these, so we'll send them to you. But there is a new executive director of the Brockton Redevelopment Authority, and Natalie, are you still on? Where are you?
Yes, I am. I'm still
Oh, there we
on.
go. Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for welcoming me, Mary. It's been a whirlwind. In my first month on the job, I started on May 1st. And so I am really looking forward to my work with the community. I'm having my first meeting with Mary on Friday. So I'm off and running, but thank you for the welcome. And I really look forward to working with this team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate you being on. The Brockton Redevelopment Authority has a lot of activities in the downtown and a great organization to partner with. So we really appreciate you being on, and welcome, even though it's still, you're gonna be a newbie for another month, maybe. And then it's trial by fire, but welcome, Natalie, and thank you for being on. So additional events happening in Brockton. Megan is going to roll through these. There's a lot. Start including some things that are going on today. So let's go to back to the. Is that the first one? Yes. Okay. So today from 3 to 8, the Downtown Brockton Museum. That is Bill Hogan, for those who don't know. So Bill has a separate organization, but there are things going on. And I just want to make sure that we are promoting that. And next, job fair tomorrow at Campanelli. We will share all of this information. Some of you in here have a hard copy of it, but we'll be sharing these on our website, but also in an email so you don't miss anything. Next is, there is a meeting tomorrow night, the 22nd. Right. I'm getting my days all mixed up here. The planning office is having a zoning changes for the downtown. Thank you, Trout Brook. That is tomorrow. I know I'm looking at this way. Tomorrow night, John Fay, are you still on? 6 p.m.
Yes, I am. Yes, 6 to 8. East Middle School.
East Middle School. Thank you very much, John. And if we just stop for a second on this, because what they've done again in the multiple languages and reaching out to our community. Well, I had to turn my head this way. That's quite all right. I think it's really important that while communicating and being able to do it in multiple languages. So kudos to the planning office. Next, Megan. We talked about this already, the beautification. And then this is through Brockton Public Library, Brockton Interfaith Community. I forgot where I got this from. I got this from somewhere. I troll the what's happening in Brockton Facebook page. I look at the council, I look at the city's website, but there is this is coming up on June 26th through the 29th from 1 to 5. There's a cooperative entrepreneurship workshop for youth from 14 to 18. Again, these beautiful, creative minds need their wraparound. And so the cultivators of Greater Brockton, I believe it's from the Brockton Interfaith community, but there's spaces are limited. So we'll be sharing this. So thank you, Megan, for bringing this one up. And next, the Chamber of Commerce, Chris couldn't be here, but there's a couple of networking on June 29th from 5 to 7:30. There's an event at the Brockton Rocks. And then the next one is, there is a youth mental health first aid course that is being held. I can't read that, Megan, sorry.
June 24th from 2 to 6 p.m. at Lincoln Church Ministries on Oak Street.
Great, thank you, Megan. Again, I've got most of these within from 8 o'clock this morning till about 9:30. I peppered Megan like, hey, I found another one. I want to make sure I share in this. And again, every Fridays, the Brockton Farmers Market held right over on City Hall Plaza. Some great, just fresh food and some wonderful things that they do there. So please support them. And do you have anything else after this? Summer nights at the Brockton, the Boys and Girls Club of Metro South. I keep calling it the Brockton Boys and Girls Club, but they are of Metro South of Taunton and Brockton. Summer nights at the club. Certainly some activities. We're always looking for things for young adults to do. So we just wanted to bring that up. And one of our favorites just up the street from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Brockton Beer has their activities, and there's always some music, bingo and trivia. I fail at both of them. I just walk in, I have a nice burger and maybe a nice little refreshment, but thank you, Megan, for sharing this. And then, of course, the holiday celebration. If in fact, thank you, before we go into resources, if in fact you have events that you would like to share with the DBA, our next meeting, I don't know if we have this yet, but the next meeting, we are going to continue to meet in July for this very reason of really sharing information. I do have a commitment from Bob Martin to provide a history tour of Brockton. And so it will be throughout the day for those who can make it. So that's going to be my intention to have Bob provide a history tour throughout all the downtown. So the resources we have, I forgot what we had under here, Megan. Of course, what the Charity Guild does is God's work, and they have their food pantry hours. I think it's always important to share this. Follow them both on social media, their website. They are also looking for volunteers to help with distribution of food. So please follow them and contact Laura Streese. And anything else? Oh, the Chamber of Commerce. Yep, they are having they have a leadership program sponsored by, I think it's South Shore Bank in conjunction with the Metro South. So there's some information about that. And let me, before I go to Michelle, is there any other information, other resource? Nope, that is it. Michelle?
I just wanted to share too, we have an after-hour event on Monday, June 26th. It's for COA Pride, and it's a special screening of the documentary Generation Silent, and then afterwards there'll be a same-sex elder law presentation. So if anybody wants to come over, it's going to be Monday, June 26th at 4 p.m.
And Michelle, just on that, thank you for sharing that. If you have a flyer, we would be happy to share that. And is the screening, is the viewing for those who are 60 and older? Or is that for anyone?
It's usually for 60 or older, yes.
60, that's okay.
But I think if it's somebody that has questions, that would be okay too, as long as they call and let us know and register ahead of time. Usually with our after-hour events, we open them up to more people.
Perfect, thank you.
And I did send a flyer, but it might have got lost in the shuffle somewhere. I just sent it this morning, but I will resend it to you.
Could you do me a favor? Could you just CC Megan on it? Because
do.
it will get lost as soon as I'm done here. Claire? Yeah.
Yeah, just one quick update for everyone. We do have the program that Phoebe talked about, which is the preventing long-term anger and aggression in youth. We use martial arts, which is a mind and body therapeutic intervention to help kids gain pro-social skills. Those who are at risk behaviors or those who have other mental health challenges. So I'm going to share a flyer with you, Mary and Megan, so you can share it with the team.
That would be great.
But it's like open on an ongoing basis. It's a free program and we have different sessions. We enroll kids from 5 years to 24, young youth, young adults. Yeah, so if anybody knows any kids who benefit from this program, especially like now for the summertime, if they have nothing else to do to occupy themselves, they could come, they join some of the sessions, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever works for them.
Thank you. We will share that with the team. Claire, Michelle, you have another question? Oh, that's okay. No worries. I do it all the time. You probably don't want to hear from me. I know we are whittling down on, actually, we're not doing too bad with everybody staying on. I appreciate you hanging in there. We had a lot of information to cover. You know, and again, there are private businesses on it. There's government entities, there's nonprofits that are on this. That's who we are. That's who the DBA. We are just people really want to come in and see our downtown flourish the way it should be and needs to be, but also to have open communication and support of each other. And thank you, Megan, for bringing it back up again, because then that's why we have our DBA membership form. We're going to be haunting everybody, but that's not true. It really is important that we are able to support in lots of different ways. And there is no compensation. I don't receive compensation. Megan doesn't receive compensation. We just can't and won't. But it is important that we're able to convene, and it does take, I will put a plug in for my I'm going to get that from you, Cynthia, so don't go. The you know, Old Colony Planning Council allows me to do this. They know that my board knows that I'm doing this. They probably won't be letting me do this for too long if I slip too much behind my work, but they do allow, and I think that again, we'll be looking for members to be part of our executive committee. I want to build up our team, so then there's continuity and sustainability of this organization. So Cynthia, you just posted, you just said NeighborWorks is hosting a first-time homebuyers class on Saturday, July 15th. If you can share that flyer with us, that would be great. And anything else, any other trainings NeighborWorks has, we will get that posted not only on our website, but we will share in advance of our next DBA meeting. And Megan, do we know when the next DBA meeting is?
I think it's the 19th.
I believe it's the 19th.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Look at all of you who are spot on with that. So July 19th, I'll get more information. Those who came in, terrific. Thank you for being here. For those who are on, happy first day of summer, and we'll be seeing you at all these upcoming events. So thank you. And thank you to our speakers, not only from Luminosity, but also from Jenny Mahoney from the Brockton Cultural Council. So thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.